We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are.
Hey everybody, welcome once again to yet another episode of Two Noobs Talking. It's episode 100, and with me, of course, are my two good buddies, Mr. John Tracy, Mr. Steve Murray. I am Mr. Matt Craig. We are happy to have you with us. John, the brainchild of Two Noobs Talking. How you doing, brother? It is your 100th episode of this podcast, brother. What do you think?
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything? You just created the whole thing.
Nothing.
Nothing?
I'm good. We can move on to Macho Man over there. We're fine.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, and of course, we have Steve over there, who's also Illinois Smith, who's the Macho Man Randy Savage, Dr. IP. How you doing, brother?
Ketchup's on the meat.
What's going on? Ketchup's on the meat. What's going on, brother?
Ketchup's on the meat. 100 episodes. Yeah. The big 100. So the Mach had to come back out of retirement to be here. Yeah. To celebrate with the Two Noobs. 100. That's a big milestone. Only had to beat the milkman twice, too, since the last time I was here. So that's progress. Yeah, so once Two Noobs was a tiny baby wiping its rear end. Now it's an old man wiping its rear end. It's come full circle, yeah. But I want to talk to your viewers on YouTube for a second. Just need to pick their brains a little bit, because you know why? If you're watching this and you're not a subscriber, that's like stealing, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they probably watch PBS too without contributing. It's theft. And you don't get the nice cute little tote bag that comes with being a member. Yeah. You don't get anything like that here. You better hit that subscribe button. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Love it.
But Mr. Matt Craig, prima donna Matt Craig, I gotta hound you for a minute, brother. I heard you talking about remote work, putting it down, yeah. Well, you know something? I got a remote right here, and it works just fine. Don't want you saying anything bad about it.
I'm not even going to try it.
Exactly. Now, you too, Mr. Texas boy. Yeah, Mr. Texas. I got a thing for you. You got a little too hot to trot on that Elon Musk fella. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta keep his name out of your mouth or I'll slap you like Will Smith at the Oscars. Yeah. Yeah, step into a John Tracy. Ooh, yeah.
So wait a minute. So we're gonna pre-plan the slap, and then we're gonna do the slap?
Yeah, it's
That's
exactly
right.
what we're doing.
Cool. Okay, just make it short.
And then I'm gonna pass out from lack of oxygen.
Oh my gosh, Steve! As always, fantastic job. I'll let you to recover, but we really want to thank all of our subscribers and all of our viewers and all of our viewers, basically, for watching us over the last. Now it's going to be close to 2 years. That's crazy. Of Two Noobs Talking. We really appreciate every view that we've gotten on our episodes and all the comments we've received, either in YouTube or outside of YouTube, basically encouraging us along the way. We wouldn't have done it without you. So I know for me, from the bottom of my heart, I would have never guessed that I would be doing a 100th episode of something or other at this point in my life. So, Johnny, kudos to you, man. I really appreciate you for bringing me along here for the ride. And also to everybody, and for Steve, too, for adding so much this past year to our podcast. It's just been tremendous. So, well done, Jensen. What do you say we keep it going with this whole thing, man? I mean,
Why not?
100 episodes? Let's keep going, man. Let's keep doing this thing, yeah. And why don't we... complete this. Well, why don't we just do the entire episode of Two Noobs Talking, this 100th episode, by concluding our grand Two Noobs tournament to crown the best Philadelphia athlete. We started this way back, guys, in May, 16 weeks ago, in episode 84, with the Eagles, and we went through the entire couple of weeks weeding through all of that, and now here we are. This first topic here is going to be completing the top half of the 76ers. I've deemed this the Wells Fargo Center bracket of the best Sixers bracket here. So, guys, if you're ready, why don't we just go right ahead and just dive right in with this.
Oughtn't
Yeah,
you
go ahead,
recap the rules here?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Yeah. So what we've done in the past is we've gone ahead and we used ranker.com, which is kind of like a polling site of the best athletes within the 4 major sports in Philadelphia. So we looked at the Flyers, Sixers, Phillies, and Eagles.
Yep. And then we shit all over that article.
Exactly.
Yes.
We basically trashed that out. And we had a few criteria, right, guys? We had 1983 and onwards, because that pretty much was like the start or semblance of us kind of getting an idea of like who was on our teams, even though Steve was 2 years old at the time. He was kind of getting an idea of like who was there. But we started.
He knows more about sports
onwards.
than most people at 2.
Exactly. Yeah. Combined the two of us, right, Johnny? But from 1983 onwards, and then also too, they had to have a minimum of 3 years played in the city. So we didn't want any like trade rentals or guys that were here for a year and a half, things like that. We wanted guys that were in the city, played for a long, long time. And
Couldn't
then
get Adam Oates in there.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And Bryce
Couldn't get
Harper,
Adam Oates,
Bryce
T.O.
Harper did not make this tournament.
Yes, he did. What are you
Bryce
talking about?
Harper
Did he?
did make
Oh,
the
he
tournament.
just
Yeah,
made
yeah.
this tournament. Who didn't
Yeah.
make the tournament then? He was Bryce Harper-esque and didn't make the tournament. Was that Holiday?
No, Halliday was in
No.
there. Halliday was in there. But we had guys
Someone
like
yeah,
we
someone
had guys
didn't
like
make
Gary
it.
Maddox. We had guys like Gary Maddox. We had guys that were let's say like Adam Oates. Terrell Owens was a great example. That was a guy that
Terrell Owens, yeah.
Yeah, that's
he
one
didn't
who
make it.
didn't make it.
but he
yet.
didn't make it. Yeah. So again, we wanted more than 3 years or more. And then of course like production in the field. If they were multiple All-Stars, Hall of Famer, if they won it, they were fortunate enough to win the championship here in the city of Philadelphia. We threw them in there.
We didn't have many of those.
We did not. We did not, which is surprising looking at the Elite Eight. But
Yeah.
we wanted to throw them in there. And then
Yeah.
obviously not just the production, but like popularity, not only within the city, but within the 3 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like how much of a weight do we put with these guys? So we went through a long process, a long few meetings, I think, if I remember right, guys. We
Yeah.
were
Oh,
Yeah.
for each individual team and ranking them and who do we want this way and well, what do you think about this? No, I want him higher. Well, I want him lower. So it was a long, arduous process for sure. But it was worth it. It was worth it because here we are. And now we're going to go ahead and get started now with the Sixers. And again, the top half of this bracket of the Wells Fargo Center region.
Because
Because
the bottom bracket.
is Julius Erving. That's right. So this person faces Julius in the Elite Eight, which will go on later on tonight. So, Johnny, to start off in the first round.
Yes.
I've been famous to giving.
I have all this knowledge.
You have all this knowledge, right? But I've also given you softballs over the years. I think this one is probably the biggest softball I'm ever going to give you, since you are the CEO of Two Noobs and you started this whole thing.
Him, that guy.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's lead off with the 16th seed Tobias Harris. And he's got the number 1 seed. Yeah, but he's got the number 1 seed, Allen Iverson.
I love Toby. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, Allen.
Allen.
Come on.
Yeah.
My kid's first shoes were Allen Iverson shoes. The first toddler shoe you could buy, he had the I3s. Like, it's Allen Iverson. Jesus.
Yeah. I mean,
he's still
scoring champion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sits in the front row. He still sits in the front row. He's still a part of this town.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly. Yeah, he sure is. Okay, so that was pretty quick.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. If you don't know why AI is going, if you don't know why AI is going forward in the first round, then you probably never watched Sixers basketball.
Exactly.
It's just a shame Tobias Harris isn't going to get much airtime on this episode.
I love Toby. He's one of my favorites of this team. I enjoy watching him play night in, night out.
Yeah. There you go. So, Steve, going to you. And we have the 5 seed Maurice Cheeks, or Mo Cheeks,
Mo.
He's got the 12 seed Theo Ratliff. So what are you thinking there?
Well, first, I need to clear something up just because I'm sure some of our viewers are confused. Which is we're all wearing headphones today because Matt channeled his inner Fauci and commanded that we all wear.
Devin, did you notice? Did you notice how commandative that was? That was.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. We were required. We didn't even have a choice.
I think Matt's wondering why we think this is an infringement on our freedoms. But,
we're stepping things up here.
Task at hand.
Yeah.
To the task at hand. So, Mo Cheeks versus Theo Ratliff. I'm not going to lie. Most of my memories of Mo Cheeks are from him as a coach. And he was none too successful here, unfortunately.
No, he was not.
But Theo was probably more known to me for being traded for Dikembe Mutombo.
Yeah. Had a great year that year, but traded nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, he broke his wrist so that year, so he was unavailable for the fight if we had gone to when we went to the finals.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with Mo Cheeks.
Oh, okay.
Well, Mo.
He had the infamous end of slam to win the NBA championship, right?
There you go. Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's pretty good.
He was good.
Love it.
He was real good.
He was. He complimented Doc very, very well. Yeah. Just very, very well in that backcourt.
Oh, heck of a player. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Steve, with you, continuing on in the first round, we have the 13 seed Clarence Weatherspoon.
Spoon.
Going up against the 4 seed Charles Barkley.
Spoon.
Spoon.
Did the Eagles have a player whose name was also Witherspoon?
There might have
so.
been. Yeah.
Was he a linebacker or something?
I think you're right. Yeah.
I have no idea what his I also remember a dude on the Carolina Panthers that had that same name. Who knows?
Maybe it was the same one from the Eagles.
Could be. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna look that up while you're answering this question.
All right, there you go. You give us, and I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember why Witherspoon was even on this list. Or wait, Weatherspoon or Witherspoon?
Weatherspoon. Clarence Weatherspoon.
Okay, so the Sixer one was Weatherspoon. Okay. We must have looked at his stats, and they must have been decent.
I think so.
A number of years.
Yeah.
But Charles Barkley.
Pretty straightforward. Pretty simple.
We're taking the Chuck wagon. We're taking the Chuck wagon here. No question about it.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love Charles Barkley on TNT.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Just so funny but also one of the greatest rebounders in the history of the NBA.
Round-mounded rebound.
Look at a round-mounded rebound. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's got his own name.
It's fantastic. There you go.
It's just a shame that they made the fat alien out of him in Space Jam.
Yeah. But I totally would have too. Because that dude, when he came out of college, he was truly a circle. He became a person, but Chuck was big boy when he came out of Auburn. He was a big boy.
He sure was. Yeah, he sure was. I mean, the famous story, of course, with him is that when he's talking with Moses, right? And Moses was like, "Well, you're too fat. You need to lose like a ton of weight, man. In order to get minutes, you need to lose a ton of weight. So you need to go into the gym." And he did. Took it the best piece of advice.
That's the good thing.
Yeah.
That's the good thing. He took it to heart and made the change that he needed to make. He didn't go in a corner and cry because somebody told him something was wrong with him that he needed to fix.
Yeah.
He went and fixed it. So good for him, man.
Good on him. Absolutely.
I love Charles Barkley. He's awesome.
Yeah, I do too.
So our Weatherspoon football player, basketball player. So there was Will Witherspoon.
Witherspoon.
There you go.
Who played for Carolina and the Eagles, also Rams, Titans, and Rams again. 2002 to 2013. That's who we remember. Linebacker, of course. Also seems to be a veteran of some sort. Born in San Antonio, Texas, right down the road from me.
There you go.
Yeah. So
there you go.
Good memory.
Exactly.
And a veteran,
stupid
so
stuff like that.
yes, and a veteran,
Yeah.
so salute Will Witherspoon because you the man.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah, absolutely.
I think that now places him above Clarence Weatherspoon.
I think so.
I think so. Well, why don't we finish out the first round, Johnny, and we'll go to you. And this is a pretty interesting 8-9 matchup for you.
Mhm.
You got Aaron McKee is the 8 seed, and he's going against Sweet Lou Williams, the 9.
Oh, wow. Aaron
So
McKee
what do
led
you
the league
think?
in 3-pointers
Mhm.
that year. They went to the.
Did
Did he really?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Holy
like,
cow.
He was like the
Sixth man of the year.
that year. Yeah,
Sixth
he
man
was
of the year
top
for
man
that reason.
year. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, how did he lead the league in 3-pointers as the sixth man coming off the bench?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was tremendous.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was a huge with that defense that year. I love Sweet Lou.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go off on Sweet Lou for a little bit. I got a great Sweet Lou story. So, used to work at a bowling alley bar back in the day, and Sweet Lou used to come in all the time when he finally turned 21. And we had a few drinks. This was after hours. We had a few drinks, and a patron friend of ours was sitting across the bar from Lou Williams, and goes, just in a drunken stupor, goes, "Lou, you'd be an all-star if you just shot 3,000 free throws a day, man. The practice would work." And Lou goes, "The fuck do you think I do at practice?"
Cracks up
Yes.
the entire bar, right?
The whole bar was like, "Yeah, like that's his job." Like, I'm telling the man I'll do his fucking job. He's a
Exactly.
great. He was always a great kid. He was always cool to be around. Loved Lou, but come on, Aaron McKee. Like
Aaron McKee.
Aaron McKee.
Temple love, baby.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He gets a fake point, like a championship one not in our criteria just because he went to Temple. He gets that one extra point that shouldn't be
There you
allowed, but
go.
it's allowed.
There you go.
He's coaching them too, isn't he?
He is.
think
Yeah,
so,
he's
yeah.
a men's
Yeah.
head
That's what I
basketball
thought.
coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. At Temple.
Yeah.
Now. And so far, it seems like he's steadily starting to improve the program there, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
Good.
But yeah, he's doing a really good job so far. So we'll see.
Well, as long as he threatens to kill John Calipari, he'll be in
There we go. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
There you go.
Okay.
Exactly.
Or
All right, so John-
just tell one of us and we'll do it. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So for you in the second round, as we move on here, Mo Cheeks, the 5 seed, Charles Barkley, the 4.
Ooh.
So what do you think there?
Don't envy that choice.
Yeah.
That one's hard. That one's really hard.
Mm-hmm. What do you think there?
Man.
Round bound to rebound, and one of the greatest basketball players of all time.
Yeah.
And then you've got Mo,
But played probably
who,
more
coaching-wise
outside-
isn't...
Yeah. But
Go ahead.
Barkley
Yeah, go
probably
ahead.
played more outside of Philadelphia than he did inside of Philadelphia, correct?
I
What
would
year was
probably...
he
It's
drafted?
close. It's very close.
It's very
I would think.
close.
I think
It's
he
very
probably...
close to... Yeah.
Mhm.
I remember him.
I remember
Phoenix and Houston.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Houston when he fought Shaq.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
great.
Mo,
Yeah.
although 83, they did go to the championship that
They
year.
did go to the championship that
was
year.
the year before
Mhm.
he came in, 84.
Mhm.
I don't know when Mo finished. It was probably late.
wanna say it was
late
late
80s.
Criteria,
Yeah, late 80s
it would have had
probably.
to be it would have had to have been 86 at the earliest,
yeah,
since we needed 3 years of service in the
Yeah.
relevant time period.
but he was with
Mo
the 80,
played until-
the 80 team.
Mo played from 1978 to 1989 for the Sixers. He played
Okay.
then for the Spurs, Knicks, Hawks, and Nets, retiring in 1993.
Good job,
Wow.
Mo.
Now,
Wait a minute, wait.
That's incredible.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute. You said he played for us till 89,
mm-hmm.
and then he played for like 12 teams for 3
Yes.
more years.
kind of like, yeah, he made the rounds in the NBA after we,
That's where Lou Williams figured out how to do it.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
I'll just play for a different team every year. Let's go.
yeah. So
For
what do you
every half year?
Yeah,
I want to say Mo, but I'm going to say Barkley
Okay.
Just because Barkley
Charles?
had a Charles had a bigger impact in his time here. Not only because there's the criteria of playing, but God, he's still loved to this. I mean, Mo is too, but not at the level Chuck is.
Of Chuck's. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Chuck comes back on radio, and Mike Missinelli would get ratings like completely blow him out of the stratosphere of what he would normally get on a daily basis because Chuck hangs out for 5 minutes. Like, I gotta
their
go
careers.
Chuck. He had a better.
You're gonna go Chuck?
Yeah. He had a better.
Their careers. He had a better career, I guess you could say, or better like gravitas within the team, right? In that regard.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna say he did everything. Yeah, he did everything well. Mo was a great player. Didn't really stick to the fan base. You know, he's not like revered. Barkley kind of was more than just a player.
There you go. Yeah, it makes sense. Their careers did overlap, actually. Barkley was here 84 to 92. So they were together for like 5-6 years playing together.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely
in the NBA. So yeah, on the Sixers. So
remind me, Barkley was moved out. Was this a similar like Reggie White, Kurt Schilling? The team wasn't doing enough to support him. Yeah.
Yes, and he asked for a trade. He got a trade. He was traded for Tim Perry, Jeff Hornacek, and Andrew Lang. And that didn't help at all.
That didn't help at all. Completely destroyed the Sixers in any
Chuck
semblance of the word.
Chuck had a couple good years in Phoenix afterwards. So if we're Chuck fans, then, you just gotta love that.
Absolutely. Yep.
If not for the GOAT, yes, I said it, the GOAT, MJ, he might have won a title.
There you go. Exactly.
I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, I know.
Steve, for you, we're going to take a look at the top half of the second round. Allen Iverson, the 1. Aaron McKee, the 8. So what do you think? Yeah.
I don't know. It's highly competitive.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's really not.
Who would Aaron McKee vote for? That's my question to Steve.
He would vote for who I'm voting for. I love Aaron McKee, but it's Iverson.
It's Iverson. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No doubt.
Enough said there. Doubt. Yeah. I mean, the main thing about what it has always been so great about Iverson is just not only his scoring touch, obviously he's a gifted scorer, but the fact that he's 6 foot, like he was very
probably
tiny.
Less.
Yeah, probably less.
He's
and
probably
he was
way
able
less
to
than 6 foot.
Yeah,
100 pounds, soaking wet.
Yeah,
and yet he's putting up 30 points a night. For us, it's crazy. Yeah,
he had that.
Just a gifted player.
Allen Iverson has the one thing that we love in our sports athletes. We don't care if you're that talented. He had that heart, that kissing the Sixers logo when you come back, that just Bryce Harper wearing the Fanatic socks, that the it factor, the one of us factor. That's what Allen had. Although it was, in the media it went back and forth. Looking back on it, he was one of us the whole time.
The whole time.
It comes down to one thing for us: effort. And he gave it 110 every night.
Every night. Yeah, couldn't disagree at all. So, guys, here we go. Sweet 16. This guy will face Julius Erving, of course, in the Elite 8 later on tonight in the Sixers bracket for the best Sixers. So you got either Allen Iverson, the 1 seed, Charles Barkley, the 4. So make my selection here. I think it's pretty straightforward, if I'm guessing. Okay. There we go. Very good.
Yeah.
We're just waiting on one other. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, guys, no surprise, right? Unanimous selection. Allen Iverson joins Julius Erving in the Elite 8. And, I think it was pretty much a, no pun intended, slam dunk, to be perfectly honest with you. Have Allen as the guy.
Yeah.
I mean.
And I love Charles Barkley, so that says something about Allen Iverson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Chuck, I think, would agree. I think if the votes came down between him and Bubba Chuck, it's definitely, I think he would go Iverson at that point. So,
Absolutely.
All right, so let's flash up on screen the Elite Eight. And so here we go. You got Brian Dawkins against Reggie White, Mike Schmidt, Jimmy Rollins, Eric Lindros, Claude Giroux, Julius Erving, Allen Iverson. What an Elite Eight. That is an amazing group of players, guys. And now, as we move on, we're going to take a little bit of a break, but when we come back, we're going to dive into that upper half of that bracket. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, guys, topic 2, and here we go with the Elite Eight. So we're going to, again, flash up on screen the current standings, and we're going to take a look really at the top half of the bracket. You got Reggie White and Brian Dawkins facing off for the best Eagle, and then you have Mike Schmidt and Jimmy Rollins as the best Philly. So we're going to take a look at Brian Dawkins and Reggie White first. And kind of just as a reminder or a refresher, Dawkins beat Jerome Brown, Fletcher Cox, and Donovan McNabb, the 15 seed, the 10 seed, and the 3 seed to get here. And Reggie, he ended up beating Troy Vincent, Jason Kelsey, and Brian Westbrook to get to the Elite Eight. Troy was the 16, Jason the 8, and Brian Westbrook was the 4. So it kind of gives you an idea of where they were. Reggie was the 1 seed, and Dawkins was the 2. So, John, I'm going to go to you first and just kind of make it just a general conversation and question here. Why would you think, if you're going to vote to see who would move on and be the best Eagle and make it into the Final Four, what would cause you to think, okay, I'm going to vote for Brian Dawkins over Reggie White?
That's a good question. Tenure, he was here way longer. And even moved up into the front office. Not that it would be criteria for him to be the best player, but he's been here forever. I'd make point. He was a Ray Rhodes guy. Who doesn't like Ray Rhodes? Defensively, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. And was definitely
under Ray Rhodes for 1 year.
Yeah, but he was drafted by Ray. He's a Ray guy, kind of. That Hall of Fame speech, that could make you want to be a Brian Dawkins fan every time you hear that. And his play on the field, he was the leader of that defense throughout the entire time he was here. There was nobody that was, although there were better players on that team, he was still the leader of that defense. Everybody respected him. From Troy Vincent who was a phenomenal player himself. Bobby Taylor respected him, and Al Harris respected him. Like he commanded that room. Yeah, he commanded that room, and he made them better. Every game, he made them better.
Yeah, exactly. If you were to reverse it, if you were to say, like, okay, why would Reggie be over Brian as the best Eagle, what would you say in that regard?
Reggie was a different kind of defensive end. 303 pounds. You know what I mean? Big. I mean, like a bear. He had the one move. Get out of my way. Yeah, and then fell down. And then he was... That's all I remember in my youth of watching Eagles football was that guy's better than everybody else. Like, the same thing. Like, Reggie was just like Lawrence Taylor. He was our version of Lawrence Taylor. When you're watching a football game, you're like, why is he so much better than everybody else? That was Reggie. And sadly, he left, and won a Super Bowl somewhere else. But
somewhere else? No.
The thing I love about Reggie the most is he refuses to say he was the all-time sack leader because of the guys that played before him, that they didn't record the sacks. He would always give them props before he would take his own.
You got also, back then, he was also the minister of defense, and again, the heart and soul of that entire defense as well. So you have two guys, really, I think, Dawkins and White, that are really the heart and soul. Steve, same questions to you. If you were to vote, why would you vote Brian Dawkins over Reggie White?
This may be the toughest one of the four.
I agree.
Because these two are very similar. Off the field, they're both very deeply religious, soft-spoken guys, like very humble. But like on the field, they turned into something completely different.
Totally different. Yeah.
And it's like, where the hell does that come from?
Yeah.
On the Dawkins, if I was to vote Dawkins over Reggie, I think John's right, tenure. I also think Dawkins didn't have the same supporting cast level that Reggie had for a lot of his Eagles career.
Valid point.
The 91 Eagles defense is outstanding, and Dawkins never got to play on anything anywhere near that level. I mean, it was mainly the genius of Jim Johnson that got the level of defensive play we got out of the personnel we had.
And you could also say the same with Reggie, with Bud Carson. I mean, Bud Carson was not a slouch either as a defensive coordinator.
Oh no, not at all. But when you look at the guys on the field with Reggie, we've talked about Jerome Brown, Clyde Simmons, Eric Allen.
Yeah.
All half of them made the Eagles list. Yeah. Half of them made the Eagles list.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Dawkins did it without the same level of supporting personnel. And his fearlessness and God, that hit on Algie Crumpler in the NFC Championship game in 2004.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't think we ever had a Reggie highlight like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Crap, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, if you were to flip it the other way around, what would convict you to say, okay, I want to vote Reggie over Brian? Is it just the fact that maybe it's just he's the leader of the 91 defense?
No.
Or is it something deeper?
No, I think Reggie's greatness, followed him kind of everywhere. So even though, he did leave us early, he was still a tremendous player for Green Bay. And he was, given that level of respect everywhere he played. I don't think you could ever find somebody to say a bad word about Reggie. You can't find anybody to say a bad word about Dawk either. But I could remember a couple of plays though for Dawkins that would bring it down a little bit. Like he never seemed to be able to figure out who was that jerk off tight end to play for the Giants.
Jeremy Shockey.
Jeremy Shockey.
Yeah,
there were a couple times where Shockey out jumped Dawkins in the end zone. I was like, come on, make that play. And Reggie, I can't remember a play where you're like, come on, Reggie, make that play.
Yeah,
and he didn't make it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think if the questions were asked of me, why I would vote Dawkins over Reggie? Dawkins, to me, I agree with both of you. Tenure is huge. He was an Eagle forever. Made tremendous plays throughout the entire defense. Yes, secondary, it's like you get exposed a little bit because you're out there and you're the last line of defense, and it's like, oh my gosh, if you don't make that play, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? And it's like, I get that. But on the flip side of it, it's like that guy was the heart and the soul of Philadelphia Eagles football from 1998 or 9 all the way straight through until he left in 2008. Everybody in the city of Philadelphia was wearing a Dawkins jersey or was loving on Brian Dawkins, no matter what the case was. They embraced his passion, his love for the football, his love for the Eagles. And I think for that reason, I would vote for him. If it's
just to be clear.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to be clear. Because, I call out the Shockey plays, but I needed a reason to ding him with regard to Reggie White, okay? Dawkins is still an absolute beast in my mind. But,
totally.
I needed to make something up to compare him to Reggie White, for God's sake.
Exactly.
That's how hard this is.
Yeah. And then Reggie, it's like, oh my gosh, you got the Minister of Defense, larger-than-life athlete, could bull rush, the hump move. I mean, it's like that was a signature move of his, and he made that famous in the Super Bowl, obviously with the Packers. 3 straight sacks, I think, in a row or something like that. Sealed the championship for them, really. I think the one ding I would have with Reggie would be like, well, he left to win a championship elsewhere. Dawkins stayed as long as he could to try and win a championship. Neither did with the city until Brian came back as an executive and won a Super Bowl as an executive with the Eagles. So that kind of, I'm not sure if that really matters, but both Canton Hall of Famers, it's a tough vote. It really is. But it's really just
to be fair, Reggie didn't leave to win a Super Bowl. Reggie left because our owner was a cheapskate who wouldn't pay him.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. He didn't leave because of the fans. He left because of the crappy ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So let's wind this up. It's decision time.
You know what's funny? Just to drag it out a little bit further.
Yes.
We have in our designated time period of 83 to present, we actually have an Eagles Super Bowl championship, and neither of these guys was on that team.
No.
Yep.
I find that a little weird.
Isn't that really amazing?
It is weird.
It is weird because we're doing the Phillies next, right?
Yes.
And we got two guys. One won a World Series in 80, one in 08.
Yep.
So we've got World Series champions on either side. And here we had an Eagles championship, and nobody from that team made it.
Yeah.
So that's bizarre.
Isn't that really amazing? Yeah. I think it shows to the depth of that 2017 team that no one in the top
I think
16,
it was a total.
Yeah.
I think it was a total team
championship.
Well, we had some in the top 16.
Yeah, Jason Kelce.
Weren't individually.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Let's decision time, guys.
The greatness of the two.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The greatness of those two perceived, the championship didn't mean it would have, if one won and one didn't, would that throw one over the top? Maybe, but neither of them did. Yeah, you never know. So.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Well, let's make our votes. So who do you got? It's Brian Dawkins or Reggie White for the best Philadelphia Eagle and a berth in the Final Four of our tournament. So I've made my decision.
Are you wearing your decision?
We'll see.
Oh, it totally.
It's there.
It totally
John,
misspelled that.
You did. You did.
It changed it on me. I had it written out perfectly.
Okay.
Oh, I know who you voted for then.
Yeah. It's a split decision, if I'm correct on this, right, Johnny?
Yeah.
It's coming up here. We're just waiting. It's really funny. Oh, here we go. It's starting to come.
There we go.
Yeah. All right. Split decision. No surprise here, but Brian Dawkins moves on in the Final Four over Reggie White.
That's
2 votes to 1.
Surprise.
Yeah. Really? You think so? Yeah. It's tough.
It's Reggie.
It is Reggie. Yeah. And again, no wrong answer, but Dawkins moves on, and it's one of those decisions that I think you'll look back on it and you're like, oh, could I go Reggie? Yeah, I could probably vote for Reggie White. I think the tenure for me really just puts that over the top. I think in the whole thing.
That's why I went with it, because I have far more memories of a long period of time of Brian Dawkins than I do of Reggie White. I respect the hell out of Reggie White, but Brian Dawkins, just my pure growing up football was Brian Dawkins throughout his entire career.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, gents. Well, moving on.
Even though Dawkins' entire career, you were an adult, but that's fine.
Yes, but that's when But you know what I mean? Like I think I don't know. I liked watching him play.
I understand. I love watching him play. He was great.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Like, I'm just going with that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like why I still like Andy Reid.
There you go.
Used to. I heard that used to.
All right, guys. So let's move on to the Phillies, and we'll take a look at Mike Schmidt and Jimmy Rollins here. So this one, I think, for me, is really difficult. Boyhood idol versus guy that basically went ahead and said, hey, it's our division, it's our title now. That kind of a deal. So that's what we're looking up against here. The winner will face Brian Dawkins in the Final Four. But let's talk a little Mike Schmidt, Jimmy Rollins. Yeah. Let's talk a little Mike Schmidt, Jimmy Rollins. Steve, same deal. If you're going to vote for Mike Schmidt over Jimmy Rollins, why, and vice versa? So what would you say if you're going to vote for Schmidt over Rollins? What would be those reasons?
Well, the tough part is Schmidt won a World Series, but not in our time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
83 on.
But like you said, boyhood idol coming up. Hitting home runs. He hit his 500th in our time frame. He's still the Phillies career home run leader, right?
Correct. 548.
Yeah. So there's that. I remember when he retired, and it was a sad day in Philadelphia for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
He was probably from starting from '83 till when he retired. I think he was Phillies baseball. He was the face of the team.
Yeah, no question. Rollins over Schmidt. Why would you vote that way?
Well, just to complete that thought, Rollins was part of the Phillies, but he wasn't the face of the team because there was Ryan Howard, there was Chase Utley, there was Cole Hamels, there was a lot of other guys, whereas Schmidt was the guy. De Jesus was pitching. That's no good. Dr. Jesus.
Dr. Jesus. Yeah.
So if I'm going to go the other way, Rollins passed Schmidt in hits. What's his deal as far as games played as a Philly? He's got to be top, one of the top.
It's really,
I would think.
Good
close,
question.
yeah.
I would think so. Yeah.
He came up at 18 and didn't leave for a while.
Yeah, he was more well-rounded than Schmidt. Defensively, offensively, gifted, could steal bases, hit doubles, triples, home runs. He had over 20 triples that one season, which is outstanding because he really only hit triples when the ball hits a part of the wall and bounces away. The outfielder is not expecting to go, and to have that happen that many times in a season is fantastic. The 2007, it's our division, and leading the charge to win the division after being down. What was it? 7? We were out 7 with 17 to play.
Yep.
And we came back and won. Rollins was a clutch guy, and he backed up his talk.
There you go. Just FYI, Jimmy Rollins played 2,090 games for the Phillies. 2,090 baseball games. Yeah,
that's a lot.
That's crazy. John, same questions to you. If you were going to vote Mike Schmidt over Jimmy, any reasons why? And
well, it's very simple. Mike Schmidt has 548 home runs, and he's the best third baseman I think I've ever seen play. Ever. Like he could pick a corner. Just It's funny. I think of Mike Schmidt all the time when I watch Alec Bohm struggle now, being a young kid. And I'm like, I wonder if Schmidt ever struggled over there. You know what I mean? Because when I grew up,
yes, but back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, but what I mean, when I grew up, all I saw were line drives that were, picked on one hop and the ball was thrown over, and he seemed to always be in position. He always. My dad used to tell me stories of Brooks Robinson, and I was like, well, how could Brooks Robinson be any better than the guy I watch all the time? Because he's pretty good. As you get older, you kind of understand. But, Schmidt, he was just good.
Yeah, exactly. But Jimmy over Mike Schmidt, why would you vote Jimmy over Mike?
Well, I pulled my card very, 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 very many episodes ago. Jimmy Rollins is absolutely, positively my favorite Philly of all time. There is nobody in my list. You just can't. He came up at 18. We grew with him. We grew up with him.
Yeah.
And Steve's point, absolutely. He could do everything. He could steal bases. He could hit run. A single, he could hit a double, he could hit a triple, he could hit a home run.
Yeah. Ironically, I'm looking at their stats just now. They're only like 4 1,000ths of a point apart in terms of batting average.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Rollins, 264 career hitter. Mike Schmidt, 268 career hitter.
Mm-hmm.
The difference, though, is on base plus slugging. Schmidt at 908 and Jimmy at 743.
Mm-hmm.
That's because Jimmy couldn't draw a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
If
I mean,
Jimmy
it's
could
really.
draw a walk, he might be the best shortstop that ever played. If he could
Yeah.
just
He'd
draw
be
a
in the Hall
walk.
of Fame.
Exactly.
Yeah, he'd be in the Hall of Fame if he could draw a walk.
Yeah, the on base, 38% of the time Mike Schmidt was on base. Jimmy, 32%. Slugging, 527 for Schmidt. Jimmy, 418. But I think the difference is, and I think to John's point, again, it goes back to what we're looking at with Dawkins. Everybody loved Jimmy Rollins because of what his moxie. We have to throw that into the equation here, too. Schmidt wasn't really known to be, in fact, he was very adversarial against a lot of the Philly fans for a long period of time, especially when he came up. Before we were even born, he had an adversarial relationship with the city. They were booing him every time he was striking out at the plate. That wears on you after a while, and he eventually got over it, and he became one of the greatest and most productive home run hitters the Phillies have ever seen in their history. 548 home runs. I mean, come on. And a 268 batting average, you're not going to go wrong with that as a third baseman. Plus, he had a ton of gold gloves. I think that was the one thing, too, for me, if I'm voting Schmidt over Rollins. His defense, the guys were right on the money. His defense was outstanding at third base at the hot corner. And
By the way, those 548 home runs came with a normal-sized head.
Yes.
So
Yes.
they were legit home runs.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Very good.
One more point with Schmidt with the defense. He's not. It's not that he's the best defensive third baseman played with the Phillies. He's in conversation with the best that ever played third base.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not in a. It's not like because Jimmy Rollins, we could say he's probably the best shortstop we ever had. And he's probably in a conversation that he was a good shortstop. But I mean, I'm sure we can name some guys that are better shortstops over Jimmy. We're talking Mike Schmidt he's in the conversation with Hall of Fame, great third baseman, whatever ever.
Yeah,
he's still in that conversation, which that's a big plus for him.
I forgot about that. That's another reason to have Schmidt over Rollins is Schmidt's in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
The Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the National Baseball Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
All right, gents. Just like with Rollins, or just like with Dawkins away, it's decision time. Who you moving on, right? I mean, we've got Mike Schmidt, Jimmy Rollins. This is for the best Philadelphia Philly. And the winner here will face Brian Dawkins in the Final Four. I made my decision. John's made his decision. And Steve has not made his decision, but I'm assuming we're going to go. Terry Mulholland did not make the list.
Yes, he did.
Unbelievable. Oh, my gosh. He should have.
He threw a note. Damn it.
Yes.
But we're going, there's another split decision. Is that correct, Steve? You're going Jimmy Rollins. Is that right?
That's my vote.
That is your vote?
Yes.
Okay. Mike Schmidt wins 2-1.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or not. Yeah.
Wait, whoa. John voted for Mike Schmidt?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
After blowing all that smoke about Jimmy Rollins being your favorite Philly of all time.
Still to this day, Jimmy Rollins is still my favorite Philly of all time. But I gotta go with the 548 home runs.
48
and
homers.
The fact that he is known in baseball not just as a Philly, as one of the best third basemen of baseball time, not just of Phillies times. And I think third base. I think third base is a harder position than shortstop. That's and when you're that good at the hot corner, I gotta just give you that nod.
Yep.
It was 5
points.
That much.
Yeah.
Well, look, it was the same for me, and the reason I put Rollins as my vote was mainly because he had the balls in 2007 to say it's our division, and then go out there and back it up.
Yeah.
You know what? Funny
That's
story.
the MVP, right?
The whole time you're talking about him having that moxie, I remember the 08 video when he goes into the dugout and dresses down Pat Burrell for having a shitty series. It's one of my favorite scenes ever caught on video. when he's just.
How many times is he going to bring that up, Matt?
I love that. That was hilarious because he wasn't having it. Like he wasn't going to allow his team to not win.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about that the whole time we were talking about Jimmy Rollins. Like, what a moment that was.
Just awesome stuff. All right, guys, here we go with topic 3. And John.
Just wanted to show.
What was that?
To show that it's support. It's back in 2008 they gave away the Pride of the Phillies, and I have a Chooch and a Chase Utley and a Jimmy and a Ryan and all those, and it was sitting over there in my Philly section over there.
Oh, look at that!
I still love Jimmy Rollins. There's no doubt.
There you go.
But not enough to put him in the Final Four.
Not enough to put him in the Final Four, baby.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. Well, here we go. Now we focus on the indoor sports. Topic 3. Best Flyer, best Sixer, right?
Baseball and football can be indoor sports sometimes.
That's true.
Yes, they can.
That's true.
But
in Philadelphia, they're not. They're outdoors.
Right.
Like real men. We play them outdoors.
That's right. As should be.
As it should be.
I don't know if it's real men. It might be cheap government. I don't think it has anything to do with real men. I won't name names. I won't name names, but you could have a dome.
I've watched. You call hockey an indoor sport. I've watched hockey outdoors at both of our outdoor stadiums.
There you go.
Yes. That would have been a little weird. The Winter Classic inside the Eagles Stadium. That would have been really weird.
That would have been really strange. Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. So here we go. We're focusing on the Flyers, and this one, well, you've got Eric Lindros going against Claude Giroux. And for the Sixers, of course, as we just figured out earlier tonight, you got Julius Erving against Allen Iverson. So just to recap, Eric Lindros, right? The number 1 seed, blew past Jeremy Roenick, the 16, Eric Desjardins, the 9 seed, and John LeClaire, the 4 seed. Claude Giroux had a very interesting path. He beat Brian Propp, the 14, and then beat Tim Kerr, the 11 seed, and then beat Keith Primo, the 10 seed, in order to get to the Elite 8.
Which just that was Steve who voted him, who named his kid after Keith Primo.
That's right. That's right. And of course, we'll focus on the Sixers later, but let's talk about Eric Lindros and Claude Giroux, guys. We've grown up with both guys. Both of them were captains of the Philadelphia Flyers, of course. Go with John first. If you were to vote Lindros over Giroux, what would be the reasons why you would want to do that? And then also vice versa. Why Giroux over Lindros?
Just to start this off so everybody understands, yes, they were both captains, but there's only one that I refer to as my captain, and he's not Eric Lindros. I don't run around proclaiming that I love Eric Lindros the way I do Claude Giroux, but to that. We still remember, this is Lindros, why we should vote for him. We still remember who he was traded for, and he was traded for 175 different people. 2 draft picks and a franchise. You know what I mean? We still remember what we gave up for him, and we don't care. Yeah, and we don't care. We could care less. I'm gone. See ya. No problem. Steve has the card of when he didn't have a team.
Love it. Love it.
It's Eric friggin'. If you didn't watch Eric Lindros play, get out of the conversation. If you did see Eric Lindros play, you know why he's here.
Yeah, exactly.
He once got checked, ripped off a piece of the board, skated with it, scored, and then took it off. He was that.
He was that special of a player. Yeah.
Yes.
Again, I could think like Giroux maybe would have the longevity. Obviously, Eric Lindros, of course, being injured not most of his career. I shouldn't say most of his career. There was frequencies with Eric Lindros when it came to his concussions and things like that. And that was a pain.
It was shorter than we.
It was short-lived. Yeah, exactly. That's well put. That's very well put.
And Giroux's stats with the point per game that we talk about, Lindros was one of the closest of anybody that played for Flyers, closest to Eric Lindros, if I remember correctly. He was very close.
He's not a point per game. I think he had something like 900 points in 1,000 games.
Yeah, 0.9
yeah,
points.
So he's as close as you can get without being Eric Lindros, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Steve, your thoughts on this? Because, I mean, we don't want to write off Claude Giroux. I think among the three of us hosts, I think we know where we're going with this. But really, I mean, maybe. I think we have to give love to Claude. Like if we were to vote Claude over Eric Lindros, what would be like the reasons why we would want to do that? Let's convince that.
I love Claude Giroux. I wept when he played his 1,000th game and then left. It was sad.
Yep.
Yeah.
He had some of the best hands I've ever seen. Scored some sick shootout goals.
The one in Toronto specifically. The one in Toronto.
Oh God.
Where he like practically
that was disgusting.
He could practically undress. I think it was Frederick Anderson. I think in net it was ridiculous.
No, it was. I think it was Gustafsson. The goalie.
Yeah.
Oh, that move was disgusting.
Yeah.
That was almost to the level of Pavel Datsyuk.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so good. ESPN did the 5 shot that they normally do, only for like Yager and Lemieux and all those guys. When they did the thing where they did the one, like, look, he's gonna take the puck away from him. Now look at the other side. Look at him slide away. Like it was. That was one of those. One of those.
Yeah.
And when you look at the Flyers' successes in the last decade plus, which have unfortunately been few, he's been at the middle of them. You know, he scored a overtime winner in this Cup final in 2010. That same year in the comeback on Boston, he was key. He had he bled 30 seconds to 45 seconds off the clock in the Boston end at the end of Game 7. The 2012 Penguin series, played unbelievable.
The shift against Crosby.
He's a special player, and I heard Eric Lindros talking great things about Giroux on a podcast maybe a year ago, and he said one of the things that again endears people to Philadelphia. He's like, Claude Giroux, I think he gives a shit.
Yeah.
And you could see that. Claude Giroux gave you maximum effort every night.
Every night.
And you could see it on his face when things didn't go that way. He was upset and he was pained just like the rest of us. And when things went well, he was on top of a mountain. It was fantastic. And Matt and I both had the pleasure to watch him score that goal to beat those shitty Penguins.
Yep.
In the aforementioned Lincoln Financial Field outdoor game.
Yeah.
Yes, that is not a dome.
That was a special moment.
That was the greatest. Yeah. I think that was just one of those all-time special moments because it's like they had no business winning that game. None whatsoever.
No, none.
They were almost completely outclassed a majority of that game, and with 5 minutes to go, Johnny, they come back from 3-1 down to win it. And Giroux with the overtime winner was just I remember walking out of there, and Steve and I were shoving each other, just laughing and giggling, just having a blast.
Soaked from the rain.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was worth every minute being in that weather because it was like, they
absolutely
have to win this game after coming back to tie it. And then they win it, and it was like, oh my gosh. And yeah, I would say about 75% of that stadium was filled. And it's like those people, we left with a great memory. It was one of the all-time greatest memories. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Look, Giroux, I believe, is the longest tenured captain ever for the Flyers.
Yeah.
That says something.
It does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That
very special player. And I wish we could have done more to build around him. I think it was a failure of, I'm going to say mainly Hextall, because he blew all those draft picks in the middle of the decade.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, it's a shame we couldn't put a better team around him, but he was a special player.
He was indeed. Lindros, though, I think above and beyond, right? I mean, if we're starting to think about this, as we start to think about making our selections, guys, I think for me, Lindros was that rarefied air, generational, talented player that
he was a freak.
Yeah.
I mean, we devoted almost an entire episodes to the guy's career of what he did in an era where it was almost virtually impossible to score goals. I mean, let's not let's face facts here. People were clutching and grabbing your jersey and were getting away with it. And it was very frustrating to watch. And yet this guy was scoring 1.5 points per game. We found out. I mean, it was crazy, the amount of stats.
The guys he had to go up against defensively back then, just like that, Scott Stevens being one of them.
Yeah.
Jeff Bukaboom, Ulf Samuelson. Yeah. Those guys don't belong in the NHL if it was to be played today.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Those guys' games would not translate.
Yeah.
And they would do everything in their power to stop Lindros from getting into their zone and scoring goals, because Lindros had the power to do it.
Yeah.
He played against every good defenseman. If you think about it, like from the 90s to now, like there's a Hall of Fame list that he played against too. So he wasn't playing against just run of the mill players. Like there's a lot of guys that are in the Hall of Fame that he's also in Hall of Fame, but there's a lot of guys that are in Hall of Fame that he played against.
Yeah,
there are a lot of defensemen.
All right, guys.
Big defensemen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, big guys.
Very big.
That's for sure. All right, guys. So let's take a look. What do you think? Here's the draft. Here's the votes. Eric Lindros or Claude Giroux, and this is for the best Philadelphia Flyer. Winner advancing, of course, to the Final Four. John with his vote, and Steve with his vote, and it's a unanimous selection. Eric Lindros moving on to the Final Four, gents, and no surprise.
I don't think there was really ever any doubt from when
no doubts. No,
that was going to be the result.
No doubt about it. Absolutely.
I will not pull any picture of Claude Giroux out. I do love him to death.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got his McFarlane figure over there.
There you go.
Oh, there you go,
Giroux.
Yeah,
it is a good
one. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a real good one.
But I've got about 4 giant Eric Lindros big heads back here.
Yeah,
I've
so many.
When they released I used to be a McFarlane collector, hockey and basketball. When they came out with the Lindros, they came out with 3 of them, and it was the white jersey, the orange jersey, and the black jersey. I immediately, when I was collecting, I was like, well, I need all 3 of them. And there was no justification. There was no justification why. I was just like, I just need all 3 of them. Like, I'm not going to choose them.
That's fantastic.
There is no question that man looked bad in black.
Oh, he did.
When those black, he played in the perfect era, because they brought those black jerseys out, and you're like, Lindros looks 10 times as intimidating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, guys. So to round out the Elite Eight, we're going to the best Philadelphia 76er, and it's between Dr. J, Julius Erving, against Allen Iverson. Again, to recap,
it's not Ish Smith.
It is not Ish Smith. No. Dr. J, of course, beating Andrew Toney, the 15 seed, Hersey Hawkins, the 7, Joel Embiid in a very close split decision back then, PCOM region, to get to the Elite Eight. Allen Iverson, of course, earlier tonight, Tobias Harris, Aaron McKee, and Charles Barkley. So the 16, the 8, and the 4 seed, respectively. So that's how they got there. Steve, let's talk a little bit of this. Allen Iverson or Dr. J? I think you probably have more on the memory of Allen than you would of the good doctor, but let's just talk about it. What do you think between the two, if we were to make a choice?
I thought you were going to say if you're going to do one.
Yeah, if you're trying to figure out, okay, if you're going to go Dr. J over Allen and Allen over Dr. J. Vice versa.
All right, if I'm going to go Dr. J over Allen, Dr. J won a championship in the era we're talking about as the main player and the windmill dunk. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Rock the baby to sleep and slam.
And the
dunk.
hair.
Yeah.
And the hair.
Yeah.
And the nickname.
Yeah.
It's all
high top socks. Are you kidding me? Come on.
You can't go wrong with Dr. J.
Yeah.
Dr. J was the man.
Yeah. He was.
If I'm going to go Allen, it's because Allen Iverson was the kind of player who could bring you to your feet every night because you knew he was going to leave it all out there. And God, he was going to jack up 50 shots, but if he made them, he was scoring 50.
Yeah.
And he was something else. To play among the bigs like he did at his size is absolutely phenomenal. And it touched the heartstrings when he came back and, like John said, he kissed the floor. And that was a really special moment.
Yeah.
You knew then he was one of us.
No doubt. No doubt. And he got beat up.
Oh,
to your point, he got beat up. I remember the 0-1, the run to the finals. He got physically beat up in that, but he knew it was almost like he knew he was going to have to pay a price in order to get that championship. It was like, I am willing to take this road to get this Sixers team to the championship. No question about it. And he went all
let's be honest, he dragged that team to that final.
He sure did.
There were no players on that team.
Nobody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Croce tried his best to get to Dikembe, and you're thinking like, okay, well, maybe if we add a little bit more defensive presence, but Dikembe at that time was starting to go be towards the downside of his career. He wasn't like the big, like when I think of Dikembe Mutombo, I'm thinking like 94, 95 when he's just coming onto the scene.
Yeah.
They, with the Denver Nuggets, and he ends up, they beat the Seattle Supersonics. I remember those years. I think it was the first time that the 8 upset the 1. And that, that was like back then, it was like he was a dominant force. He was a dominant center back then. He wasn't that way with us, unfortunately. It just wasn't. And it was exposed
to play against Shaq.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
just so we're clear, it wasn't Larry Brown's coaching ability that got him to the finals. It was Allen Iverson.
It was all Allen Iverson. Yeah, no question. Yeah.
He was dragging a coach along with him.
Yeah, exactly. Johnny, for you, same question. If you were to go Dr. J over Allen or Allen over Dr. J, talk me through, like, what are your thoughts on that? If you were to vote either one of the two.
I remember not knowing anything about basketball when I was younger. And, like, really young. And then I saw that a team won a championship. And they were the Sixers. And they had Philadelphia on them. And I had to, is that, like, do they play for us? Yes. Okay, cool. So who's on those teams? You know what I mean? And of course, the first one you see is like Mo, but it's also
Dr. J.
Dr. J's all over the place. Yeah. He was my introduction to basketball.
And if you had an Allen over Dr. J,
the only thing I don't remember about him is like I remember him dunking all
Dr.
the time.
Yeah, Dr. J.
Like if he had any other game, like could he go outside? Like you know what I mean? Like that's the one thing with Dr. J. That's all the highlights I ever see. I'm like, did this dude ever put the ball on the floor once? Against a big, back anybody down ever? Just I'm joking, of course. Like the dude could play basketball.
Yeah.
Could he take a jump shot? What?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's going on there?
Like, yeah. Could he even defend? Like, we don't know because all he did was dunk. No. That's just to the Sixers. I'm joking on the Sixers because that's all they show the highlights of. Allen, first round pick out of Georgetown.
Yep.
Revitalized basketball in the city after Charles left. He was the
he did.
First one to bring us kind of back. And hey, we're a basketball town. When they're good, Philly loves a good basketball game. Like when you're good and you try hard, we will show up.
Yeah. Every
time.
Yeah.
We forget sometimes because the teams have sucked for so long. We forget where our jersey is, but when you bring us an all-star player, we remember this game. We know how to do this. Allen just blew my mind every time he was on the court.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember watching him live at a Sixers game. This was years ago, probably in 2001, 2 or something like that. And miles ahead of everybody on the court. Miles ahead. I don't remember that all that much with Dr. J. I know Dr. J was like massive, and winning the championship in '83. I was 7 at the time, and I'm thinking to myself, "Wow, this is great," And we have like an all-star cast. We got Mo, we got Moses, we got all these guys, and they're just a lot of fun. But gosh, I just don't really. I have some memories of Doctor. I have more memories of Alan, though. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Alan, I can remember sitting and watching, and it's just like there were times you just sit back, he's just dominating this entire game like at nauseam. He's just like, I'm just going to go out here and score, put 50 points on the board, and I'll break my body in order to do it. You know, and that was the thing that really was so impressive about it, was just he was so small among the land of the giants, but yet the will and the determination of Allen Iverson was so massive, and it just massive respect on my side for sure.
And let's not forget his game got better as he grew. He learned how to pass eventually. He learned he did his game when he was a rookie.
Took him a while.
You know, it took him a while, but man, his all-around end game at the end of his career was impressive.
Phenomenal. Yeah, it was phenomenal. Yeah. All right, guys. So to round out the Elite Eight and to move on to the Final Four, time to vote. So who do we have? Do we have the good Dr. J, or do we go with Allen Iverson? As I make my selection and waiting on Steve's. Okay. All right.
Can I just point to the bobblehead?
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to point to that bobblehead because it's a unanimous decision. Allen Iverson will move on into the Final Four to face Eric Lindros.
Good luck,
there you
kid.
go.
The guy was electrifying.
Yeah. No question. No question about it. All right, guys, here we go with topic 4, and we have reached, after all of these weeks and months, the Final Four and the title to determine the best Philadelphia athlete of the three of us. It's amazing. So as we flash up on screen the Final Four, you have Brian Dawkins against Mike Schmidt. Wow. And I guess I would call that for the best Philadelphia outdoor athlete, I guess. And then you have...
Worked out for you, didn't it?
It did. And then you have Eric Lindros and Allen Iverson for the best Philadelphia indoor athlete. I guess you could call it that way. So what... I guess I'll just throw it to Johnny. Johnny, this is where rubber meets the road here. Brian Dawkins or Mike Schmidt. You've got two completely different sports, of course, but I think here we're talking popularity, right? If we're looking at this, if you want to put Brian Dawkins over Mike Schmidt, why? And vice versa. If you want to put Mike Schmidt over Brian Dawkins, why would you do that? So let's bring it. Let's bring the ketchup on the meat.
If we're doing popularity with Mike Schmidt, he was not popular. That I remember at all. So Brian wins.
Yeah. It's that simple.
Yeah. But if we're doing the face of Philly sports.
Yeah.
Mike Schmidt, same reasons that he got here. For the absolute same reasons. So let's not bore people.
Both?
Like, he's in the Hall of Fame. He had 548 home runs. He's probably the best third baseman ever. Ever. But Philly
Dawkins.
sports, you're talking Brian Dawkins is the most popular athlete in the most popular team in the city. And he was pretty damn good at his job.
And also Canton Hall of Famer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you got two Hall of Famers.
He's pretty damn good at his job on top of that. Yeah. He's pretty damn good at his job.
Well, no surprise. We have 4 Hall of Famers in the top 4.
We do. Yeah, exactly.
It makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah. Steve, I guess same question to you. I mean, do you feel like the same way with John in terms of I think Brian is definitely the most popular because of the fact that he's playing on the most popular team in the entire sports world in the city of Philadelphia. But then you also have Mike Schmidt and his resume of 548 home runs. Cooperstown and retired. Both have worn 20.
Stats
The
the stats are definitely in Schmidt's favor.
No question. Yeah.
I totally agree there. And Dawkins, I think, has the advantage in personality, both on and off the field. Well, I guess not just on the field. Off the field, they're sort of similar, I would actually think.
Yeah.
At least listening to Schmidt do the Sunday Phillies broadcasts. So I guess those are the two kind of balances you have there. I'm trying to leave popularity out of it because, I think the Eagles have an unfair advantage from that standpoint.
They absolutely do.
They sure do.
My theory on that is lazy people watch football because there's only 16 games to watch. So, and you only have to do it a couple times a week for a couple months.
Where Schmitty's going out there at 162 every single day.
Schmitty's going out 162. You got to follow him for that whole thing. But yeah, the stats are on Schmitty's side. For Doc, it's all about the fire and intensity.
Yeah.
Not that Schmidt didn't have, some intensity, but you could, Dawkins, it was visible every game, and he brought it every game. Yeah. You could see it, and he let you know it.
No question. Yeah. You could say each one is a leader in their own right, and I think Schmitty, when he was playing when we were growing up, he was the face of the 80s Phillies, which early part of the decade, spot on. Latter part of that decade, not so much. Only all-star we ever really sent, to be perfectly honest with you. There wasn't much there, except I think Darren Dalton started to come up, and it was like, okay, you had him.
He was young.
And it was a young Darren Dalton back then.
Yeah.
And then I think Kruk came in after, I think if I remember correctly, John Kruk came in after, right. Yeah. But Dawkins, I think both played very long in their careers too. I should mention that too. Not just from 83, of course. We looked on it from 83 to 89, but Schmitty was a Philly his entire career from 72 to 89. 17 years in the city of Philadelphia.
Yep.
And despite all the crap he put up with, he stuck with us. He didn't ask for a trade. He didn't ask, I'm sure he probably thought about it, but it was like, I'm going to stick this out. Dawkins, of course, he would have been an Eagle all the way straight through if it wasn't for Joe Banner cutting him and basically saying, okay, we salary cap, you got to go. So
he should have stayed.
This one is really hard, I think, of the two, because it's like, and again, I keep thinking about to what John always says, there's no wrong answer. And again, there is no wrong answer here among the three of us.
No, there isn't.
It's really, who do you like? What's your criteria? We know what the criteria is, but what do you think is the better athlete of the two in that regard? And I'm going to leave it now up to you guys to make that choice. Brian Dawkins or Mike Schmidt to move on to the best Philadelphia athlete championship game. And this one is like, for me.
I can't put in a number.
Yeah, you can't. You cannot put in a number. That's right.
I was easing my typing burden this whole time by typing numbers.
That's what I was doing too, and I was just about to put the number in. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
That's not going to work. They both weren't the same number. Oh man, we do have a majority opinion. Yeah. All right. Yeah, and we have unanimous selection. So the berth in the Two Noobs tournament of the best Philadelphia athlete championship game is Brian Dawkins in a unanimous selection, 3-0 over Mike Schmidt. Breaks my heart. No, I'm kidding. Brian Dawkins moving on.
This pick
doesn't take anything away from the greatest home run hitter we've ever seen. Absolutely. No. Yeah, exactly right. All right, so then moving on now to the indoor, and we got Flyer against Sixer. Eric Lindros against Allen Iverson, guys. And, generational talent v. generational talent. Doesn't get much easier than this, that kind of a deal. Both Hall of Famers. Steve, what are you thinking here in terms of, if you're voting Lindros over Iverson over Lindros? I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are you thinking, man? What do you think?
If I'm going Lindros over Iverson, I'm going to go by the fact that Eric Lindros, I think that Lindros was a generational talent. I don't put Iverson in that category. I think his game came mostly from will and effort. Lindros, though, was just on another plane, talent-wise, size-wise. He was built to be what he was, and he was amazing at it.
Yeah.
Whereas Iverson, heart of a lion, but I'm gonna start nitpicking on him now. He did jack up a lot of shots.
He sure did.
Many of them ill-advised. And while Lindros and Iverson both had their difficulties in the town with controversies, I think Iverson's were mainly self-inflicted. Whereas Lindros's was more health issues that the Flyers management bungled.
Completely bungled. I couldn't agree with you more.
And caused a rift. And Iverson just, young guy doing stupid things, unfortunately.
Both at the same time, if you really stop to think about it. They were both in that same arena.
Yeah.
Being a drama on either side of the court or the rink. It didn't matter who you were, if it was Lindros or if it was Allen. You still had that. You're exactly right. Yeah.
If I'm going to put Allen over Lindros, it's because Allen Iverson, you knew you were going to get everything he had every game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. John, same question to you there, bud. What are you thinking?
Going Iverson over Lindros, longer tenure, played here a little bit longer.
Are you sure about that? I'm not so sure about that.
I think he played a little bit longer.
Maybe just a little.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now, guys.
Lindros was 92 to 2000, so he was here 8 seasons.
Okay.
Iverson played
96 to 2006. To 2006, so 10 years, and then he came back 2009 and 10.
Yeah, but that was only for
that
was a handful of games.
In this conversation, I'm not
that was a fair world.
All right,
tour.
So slightly, you're right, slightly more than Lindros.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep. And if you were to go Lindros over Allen?
Probably the only one in the Final Four that was a generational talent. Pure on, when that guy's better than everybody else. That kind of thing. He was... It's hard to describe Eric Lindros. If you didn't see him play, you wouldn't know it. Yeah. It's the same thing with... We talked about Gretzky on the last episode. They're these guys have something that you can't... he's just... Bryce Harper, to be my prime example. When Bryce Harper's out on a baseball field, he's just better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Gretzky's the greatest player we've ever seen. Lindros was different in that he had the scoring talent and the hands, but he would also beat people up while he was doing it.
He had... You're
he gave new meaning to the Gordie Howe hat trick. Really?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. He really did.
He was the newfangled, better version of Gordie Howe, if you think about it.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
He was. Yeah. He wasn't a pure goal scorer, but if he needed to, he easily could dress you down and do whatever he needed. He also was a tremendous passer.
Yes. Yeah.
How the hell else would Trent Collette score 20 goals
with a flat stick?
That goes untalked about with him. With how great he was. He was also good. He was on both sides of the special teams. He played most of the game. In hockey, that's rare. That's rare to get a superstar that can play on the penalty kill, power play, and you're a first line center.
That's people who only play NHL video games but don't watch the NHL might not know superstars don't ordinarily play on the penalty kill because they fill out the lines based on rating. So you'll get your top players on your top penalty kill line because that's just the way the algorithm works. They don't know that there's actual penalty killing specialists. You're never going to see Sidney Crosby on a penalty kill unless you're trying to go to the offense late in the game.
Exactly.
Right? Superstars usually don't play penalty kill, but Lindros, you're right, played penalty kill a lot.
Yeah.
Because he could do it all.
Yeah, he could. Exactly. All right, guys, so that kind of brings us to, trying to figure out who will join Brian Dawkins in the Best Philadelphia Athlete Championship game. Is it going to be Eric Lindros or is it going to be Allen Iverson? So let's go ahead and make those selections here as I make my choice.
Thank God they have different numbers this time.
I know, my gosh, yeah. It's crazy. All right. We're just waiting on Mr. Tracy. Oh, wait. I think we've got another unanimous selection, gents. And the winner to face Brian Dawkins is Eric Lindros. So now it's Brian Dawkins against Eric Lindros for the best Philadelphia athlete to close out this long and lengthy Two Noobs tournament. Thank goodness. I really appreciate both of you guys working me through this. My God, this has been the longest tournament, but it's been totally worth it. But let's talk about it, guys. Brian Dawkins, best Philadelphia Eagles free safety, Canton Hall of Famer. You got Eric Lindros, arguably generational talent, Philadelphia Flyer, also a hockey Hall of Famer. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 1.5 per game. Let's talk about if we were to put Dawkins over Lindros. What would we say? John, go to you first. What do you think?
It goes right back to Dawkins is the most popular Eagle on the most popular team in the city.
In the city.
Hall of Famer, great player, blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
The same reason that the reason he's here.
Done before, yeah.
So John's bending to peer pressure. Oh, he's popular, so I don't want to get... This all goes back to that episode where he was shitting on dogs, and he just wants to get back in the good graces of everyone.
That was definitely not true. That sounded so bad.
That's so funny. Too funny.
I just don't want those people to work with me.
Then let's talk about both. I mean, because we could go back and forth and try and figure out, okay, who's over and who's not. Both equally talented. Ask me? Well, yeah, I guess I could, but I mean, I'm probably going to get the same answer, right? Could be the same answer,
for
right?
Dawkins over Lindros?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to give you the same answer. I'm going to give you a different answer.
Oh, okay.
If I'm going to go Dawkins over Lindros, it's because the intensity he brought to the game and the leadership to the defense was phenomenal.
There you go.
Would be my reason for putting him over Lindros in that instance.
There you go. Beautiful. And then Lindros, right? I mean, my God, generational talented player. If you're going to put him over Brian Dawkins, that's probably the reason why the productivity on the ice in and of itself is probably the greatest we've ever seen in the history of the city. I don't think there's ever been, especially in the last 40 years.
Mm-hmm. He also brought that team back to relevance.
Yes.
Single-handedly.
Mm-hmm.
That team was dead in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, and they had to go through a rebuild, but they brought them back, no question. Yeah. And you're right, he single-handedly revitalized the franchise, Steve. I couldn't agree with you more on that. I mean, when that trade happened, it was like, whoa. Because it raised everybody's expectations. I remember hearing that deal. It's like, whoa, we traded these many players and that amount of cash for one guy. And you got a generational talented player for the rest of your entire career. Oh, okay. Yeah, you make that deal. I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that kind of a deal. So, guys, I mean, this is it. The best Philadelphia athlete between Brian Dawkins or Eric Lindros.
Thank God again, the different numbers.
Different numbers, yeah, but who would you vote for? And this is I wouldn't say it's a difficult decision. But at the same time, I feel there's going to be a unanimous, I think. And it is.
Interesting.
It is a unanimous decision, gents.
Holy cow.
It's a unanimous decision. And the winner of the best Philadelphia athlete is Eric Lindros.
Of our watching.
Not our watching. Exactly. Not of our watching of the Two Noobs Talking podcast. Eric Lindros is the greatest. Yeah.
I love Brian Dawkins. But
I do too.
Was he the best Eagle on the team?
Nope.
I don't know. Was he the face of the team?
No.
I don't know.
Could make an argument.
Lindros was the
face of the franchise. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
No doubt. Yep.
Well, when Bob Clark wasn't hogging the spotlight.
Exactly. But yeah, so that's it. Eric Lindros, congratulations, bud. You are the official Two Noobs tournament winner of the best Philadelphia athlete after all these weeks and months. Thank God. And yeah, guys.
And the fact that we're all hockey players had absolutely nothing.
Had absolutely nothing to do with it.
Yeah, nothing.
No.
The fact that
but it was a great tournament.
More hockey games.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a great tournament, guys. I mean, from start to finish,
yeah.
I think at the end of the day, right? I mean, 64 players, all of whom were like legit. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun, a lot of long nights. And I'm glad we came to a conclusion. Glad we came to a resolution. And yeah, we have a champion, Eric Lindros. So it's great.
Now we have to do the worst Philadelphia athlete.
There we go.
Ben Simmons.
Schultz, Dickie Thon, you know.
Oh,
yeah.
Hey, don't shut up.
Come on. But Steve Schultz, heck yeah. Him with the 5 career home runs. Gotta love it. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Wraps up episode 100 of Two Noobs Talking. Hey, why don't we go to episode 101 next week? Why don't we do it? Let's do it.
Yeah, why not?
I'm tired.
Yeah.
Well, if it is late tonight. Yeah. We both are tired. Well, all 3 of us are tired. But hey, John, before we go to bed, why don't we just let people know where people can find us, man, out in the social world?
Yeah, we are on Facebook, Clapper, TikTok, Instagram, short little videos that will send us to
our main YouTube channel. Two Noobs Talking Podcast. Like, share, subscribe, get notified when our episodes drop. This one will drop early this week on Sunday. Surprise, surprise. But our regular episodes drop on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern.
To the benefit of the milkman, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Steve, on the Audible side, where can people listen to Two Noobs?
People can listen to Two Noobs anywhere they freaking want to. Yeah, because we put it on Podbean, and Podbean spreads us out like little tentacles. I don't know why I keep using the tentacle octopus thing. It just always comes to my head. Yeah, oh yeah. But Podbean puts us out on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Glenn. Yeah, I'm gonna snap you like a twig. Yeah, Kirk Cousins is your quarterback. Yeah, fancy. If you know, you know.
There you go.
And I think I missed on Pandora. Yeah,
Pandora.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
love it. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Episode 100 is in the books. It's on to episode 101. Can't believe it. Until then, talk to y'all next week. Take care.
Ketchup is on the meat.
That's off the meat.
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed. That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore.